People want to ask this question, where is abortion on the ballot? Well, literally the first place is going to be in Kansas on August 2nd. Katie Bernard, first tell us who made the decision to put this on a low turnout primary day. Is this something the legislature was able to orchestrate? Because we all know what happens in a low turnout situation for amendments like this.
Yeah, so that was a heavy point of debate when this was put on the ballot. Obviously, when this was placed on the ballot, no one knew that Roe would be overturned by the time it happened. But the ballot initiative didn't make it through the legislature in 2020, partially because of moderate Republicans who wanted to see it placed on the November ballot. There were several switches during the 2020 elections. More conservatives got into the legislature, and it was a sticking point for many anti-abortion activists that they wanted this on the August ballot. The stated reason that they gave was that it would get it on the ballot sooner, that, they needed to be able to take this action as soon as possible. But the ultimate effect is that is a election that Republicans turn out in more and has a far lower turnout. So it will be easier for the amendment to pass.
Do you see any evidence of sort of major campaigns now behind here? And I say this because it does seem as if this has been a little slow to get national attention at a time you would assume there would be a lot of national interest.
I actually started to see that pick up this week. We saw some evidence heading into this year of national money coming in on the abortion rights side of things. But even this week, we've seen Elizabeth Warren campaigning on the abortion rights side against the amendment. And 2 weeks ago, a massive pro-life group put in, I think, $1.3 million into campaigning on the race. So we're starting to see that churn on the money end of things, and the attention, I think, is only going to go up in the next 5 weeks.
I want to play one ad here because I'll tell you, if you listen to the ad carefully, you might not know what it's about. Take a listen.
They call it a constitutional amendment. The truth, it's a strict government mandate designed to interfere with private medical decisions, a slippery slope that could put more of your individual and personal rights at risk. The ballot language is confusing, but one thing is clear. Kansans don't want another government mandate. So on August 2nd, send a message. Say no to more government control. Vote no on changing the Constitution.
I understand they don't want to use the A word here or even reproductive rights. I get it as far as strategy is concerned, given the perception of what one might think of the Kansas electorate on this issue. But is it a bit too confusing?
I think it possibly could be, but ultimately there's enough out there about this amendment that anyone that starts digging in, anyone that's going to the polls will see very clearly in that amendment the words abortion. Ultimately, what that is clearly aimed at is Kansans with more of a libertarian streak who ultimately want government out of their health decisions, who are upset about vaccine mandates, and hopefully then on the folks who made this ad, they then hope that those folks will also see this as yet another intrusion of government into health decisions. But it does take a minute to figure out what they're talking about.
And I'm curious, is Governor Kelly, I'm sure I know where she stands on this, but is Governor Kelly, how active is she in campaigning against this amendment?
She hasn't been active at all. She, when asked by reporters, when she filed to run for re-election, whether she'd be engaged, she said she was focused on other issues. She was focused on her own re-election campaign and not something else that's going on. I don't expect to see her get particularly involved between now and August. She's got a really tough re-election fight ahead of her, and, has pretty much left it at the statement that she supports reproductive rights. She is against abortion bans, but has not gone much further.
Well, look, this is one of those where the margin may be, when you learn more from the margin, given, like I said, the way it was sort of rigged to make sure it was a primary electorate there. Katie Bernard, really appreciate you providing some insight on this what is going to be, I think, a monumental fight over the next month. Let me move over to Deborah Yetter from the Louisville Courier-Journal, because this is another way. This is no longer a federal issue. Every state is having a different kind of battle. What is going on with the courts here back and forth, and when should we get some resolution on the future of Kentucky's abortion law?
Well, that's not clear. Abortions resumed today in Kentucky at the two clinics that are both in Louisville. That came after a state judge issued a temporary restraining order barring our state's trigger law. We're one of 13 states with a trigger law, and one of the few where abortion access ended immediately upon on June 24th when the Roe v. Wade decision was released. So the Attorney General, who's a Republican, Daniel Cameron, has appealed the temporary restraining order, trying to get that overturned, and that's pending before the appeals court right now. But in the meantime, the clinics are operating again as usual after having to suspend services for about 6 days.
What is the specific challenge about this trigger law? What in the state constitution do proponents believe it violates?
The proponents are arguing that the Constitution, Kentucky Constitution, includes a right to privacy that would confer the right to medical decisions, including abortion. And they intend to make that case more fully next week before a state court judge. In the meantime, they have this restraining order in place. I think it's at least one of maybe a dozen states now where abortion rights advocates are making the state constitutional argument.
Is there the makeup of the state Supreme Court? What should the expectation be? Is this a court that is unpredictable, or is there an ideological lean that most people expect a decision to sort of land?
I think the people would look at the current makeup of the state Supreme Court as progressive, on the progressive side, with a few more members who skew conservative. I guess the question is what gets there first? This particular lawsuit challenging the law, or we have a ballot amendment too on the ballot on November 8th, which would end any constitutional right to abortion in Kentucky. And if that is voted on and accepted by the voters, then that would shut off that avenue.
What is going on this constitutional amendment route? What kind of organizing are you seeing on it, and is it starting to get engaged considering the environment we're in?
Well, I think Roe sort of shocked the system here, even though people were expecting it, the decision after the leaked draft of the opinion. There have been two groups getting organized. One's a coalition of sort of abortion, typical opponents of abortion, some religious groups, and the Kentucky Right to Life. They've formed an advocacy group called Say Yes to Life. On the other hand, opponents of abortion restrictions have formed a second group called Protect Access Kentucky. Both have started fundraising, but I don't think they had really ramped it up. But I think they will now that November is getting closer, and this is a real thing here in Kentucky.
Deborah, is there? Look, we know the governor, the Democratic governor, says he's pro-life, but he believes there should be some exceptions. Does this assuming the constitutional amendment didn't pass, does the state constitution not even allow for any limitations on abortion or viability, or is there been some lines drawn there?
It does. The state constitution doesn't speak to it, and so if the amendment did not pass, I think they might have a clear path forward on this claim of constitutional protection. But if it does pass and shuts off that line of pursuit, then there would not be no constitutional right in Kentucky under the state constitution. The governor, Andy Beshear, a Democrat, has called this trigger law extreme because it makes no exceptions for rape or incest or even a severe fetal anomaly. And he has consistently said he supports the right of access under Roe v. Wade, but in a very red state, I don't know that we're going to see a lot of aggressive campaigning on that topic by him.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.